Hey everybody, welcome back. We're covering Uncle Paul's top 10 interview tips for 2021, not 2020. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to go ahead and get started. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go ahead and cover the summary, title, and slide. If you want to, you can pause the video right here and you can cover it again, or you can click on the slide at the end of the video that'll come up that'll link back to number 10 and number 9. But I'll just review those real quickly. But again, if you really want, I would encourage you to listen to the video. There's some pointers in there besides just reading the slide that I kind of go off the script for to cover with you and give you some pointers. So I encourage you to read that. Before we get going though and get back to our countdown, please hit subscribe. Hit the alert button and hit the thumbs up. And then again, share these videos with anybody you know that might be having an interview shortly. So again, I think that this is very pertinent information, from myself being a potential, being a candidate, having to interview, and then being a hiring manager. So number 10, show up early, log in early. I'm not going to cover these because again, I covered in the prior video. Number 9, make sure your technology is working. Don't do it right beforehand. Don't do it right when you're logging into the video. It doesn't bode well for you. Now we're going to cover number 8 today. Number 8 and number 7. Be precise with your answers. And what I mean by that is that you want to have that nice in between. You want to be conversational, first of all, right? You want to just kind of have a nice dialogue. So what that means is if somebody asks you a question, don't give a one-word answer. And so if I say, do you have any experiences that you can, that you have that it demonstrates your ability in XYZ skill set, right? You don't want to just say yes and then sit there like a bump in the log. Your answer should be, certainly. I have a couple of different options that I can choose from. Would you like me to list my most recent one, or would you like me to go back a little bit further because that job, I think more aligns with that job I'm interviewing for? It's your call, and then let them answer which one they'd like you to cover. So again, and then you want to go into your answer and make sure that you don't dominate the conversation or just give them the ability to answer one ask you one question because you just have diarrhea of the mouth and you keep going on and on. You want to give them precise answers. You want to make sure that you're giving them enough information, and then we'll cover what you should do next. Before you get going though, if the question isn't clear, what you want to do is you want to ask them to rephrase the question, or just say rephrase it yourself if you think that you have an idea in terms of what they're asking, so that you are clear in terms and giving them the information that they want. And again, try and be as precise as possible. And then at the end of giving your answer, don't be too long-winded, right? We'll have that as one of the bullet points too. Again, you want them to be able to ask as much questions. You want them to be able to lead you to get so that they can ask and get the information that they're looking for, not what you want to give them, right? Because what you want to give them may not align with what they're looking for. So you want to be short enough, but you have enough information in your answers so that they can come back and either ask you for more questions or more ask you to expand on that, or clarify what it is that they're actually looking for. So we covered don't be too long-winded. And again, we covered that they're trying to get as much information from you and about you. A lot of times these are only half-hour initial interviews, and you may be called back in to go into more in-depth interviews and conversations, and maybe that involves the whole team. But again, you want to hit a home run if you can on the initial interview that you have there. And typically those are going to be a half an hour. They're the screening calls to just kind of weed you out to see if it's even worth having you come back in for a second interview. Okay. They also want to see, how articulately you communicate, and how you communicate ideas, and if you can communicate, ideas or concepts or experience concisely, right, and clearly. If you go on too long, that's a big red flag, right? You don't want to, again, go on too long so that you overload people with information, because it's going to do two things. It means that you're not going to be able to run a meeting, or no one's going to want you in a meeting because you're going to be the one dominating. And I see that too many times with people on teams, right? They just don't know how to be precise, give enough information that's needed, and then, swing back around and say, is this what you're looking for? So anyway, again, pretty straightforward. You got to have that balance. Don't give one word answers, but don't go on too long. All right, we're going to jump down to number 7. It's okay once you're asked a question to just pause for a second and gather your thoughts, right? And that means making sure you know which area and what information you want to give them. So if somebody asks you a question, just say, That's a great question if you want to just pose something like that. But that gives you a couple of seconds to gather your thoughts, and or you could say, let me think about, or let me think about which area I'd like to provide you the answer from, because I've had, experience with this in this work environment and then this environment. And then you can go on. But again, you can use little key phrases like that that'll prepare you to buy yourself a little bit more time before you just run off and run down the wrong path, right? That's not what you want to do. So again, take a brief pause. Again, make sure this kind of ties back into the number 8, but it's a little bit different. Make sure you understand the question before answering it. And after you answer your questions, this is critical. And this goes back, ties into number 8 also, which is why I tied them together here. Ask the interviewer the question after you've had that right amount of time and right amount of information you've provided. Does this answer your question? Or the second follow-up question is this what you were looking for? And what that does is it causes dialogue. It's not just you running off at the mouth. There's dialogue taking place. And it also shows the interview team that you know how to pause and re-engage the meeting participants to make sure that they're engaged and that they can get worded edgewise so that they can say, yes, that does answer the question. Or they can say, it does, but I'd like you to, you talked about this. Can you explain this a little bit more in detail, right? It gives them the opportunity, because you may say something that piggybacks or strikes a note with them that they want to uncover a little bit more, because maybe they're looking for some specific skill set that they probably weren't anticipating, being able to get with the position they're hiring for. But maybe with what you shared in your experience, you hit on something that they're like, oh yeah, this is definitely something that we really would like for this too, and we want to hear a little bit more about that. That may actually increase your opportunity to get that job, because you took them down a path that they were hoping to get ultimately. So always go back and ask that question. Does this answer your question? I just interviewed recently, and I asked that after every time. I asked, and I try and call out the name, so, Johnny, does this answer your question? Did I answer your question? Is this what you were looking for? And either they say, yep, perfect, and they move on, or sometimes they'll say, hey, can you talk about this a little bit more? So again, it's more dialogue. So that's always good. If you're answer doesn't answer their question, they will typically, like I said, call out, if you give them the opportunity to do that. So again, at the end of the day, if you want to be, have a better chance, you want it to be more conversational, because no one wants to work with somebody that's always just one way, down low to them. It needs to be collaborative, and you need to be able to be natural in having your conversation. So anyway, that's it. We covered number 8 and number 7. Obviously, we'll be covering number 6 and number 5 here and on the next video. And if you don't mind, again, share this video with somebody that's getting ready to interview. Give me the subscribe if you don't mind. Hit the thumbs up button, and then also hit the alert button. I'll stop sharing, and we will talk to you on the next video.